evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 685th edition of the Feuerstein's Fire American Soccer Show. I'm your host, Daniel Feuerstein. I'll give you American perspective of our clubs, leagues, players, national team, and other fabulous moments. Get your daily reading from me and other writers over at Beyond the 90, at beyondthe90.substack.com, and locally of New York Soccer over at baddogsports.com, spelled DAWG. D as in David, A as in Apple, W as in what, and G as in go. The chat room is open here on YouTube. Go ahead and talk amongst yourselves if you like. If you have a question for me, I'll try to answer it to the best of my abilities. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the roster for the upcoming September friendlies have been announced by head coach Mauricio Pochettino of U.S. Soccer as they get ready for friendlies against both South Korea and Japan in this upcoming September window. And let's just go ahead. I'm going to read to you the roster of who will be on this U.S. men's national team spring international, I shouldn't say spring, but the September window for these upcoming friendlies. The goalkeepers will be Roman Celentano from FC Cincinnati, Matt Freese from New York City FC, and one I was surprised to see, but you know what? Why not give him that opportunity? And this is Jurgen Klinsmann's son, Jonathan Klinsmann. As I understand, he is playing in the lower levels of Italy, I believe in Serie B. So listen, if we're going to get a look at him, why not use him in one of the friendly matches? But we'll see if he does get any minutes at all. Probably they'll have one match with Matt Freese and the other one with Roman Celentano. The back line, the defenders, are Max Arfston of the Columbus Crew. We also have Noakim Banks. We got Tristan Blackman of Vancouver Whitecaps. Of course, Thomas Mueller spilling the beans out of that one, or letting the cat out of the bag after the victory over St. Louis City SC. And, you know, hey, sometimes these things happen. Mueller is so happy to score his first goal in MLS and with the Vancouver Whitecaps. From PSV Eindhoven, Serginho Dest, Alex Freeman. We also have Nathan Harriel from the Philadelphia Union, Tim Ream of Charlotte FC, and Chris Richards of Crystal Palace. In the midfielders, we have got Tyler Adams from Bournemouth, Sebastian Berhalter from the Vancouver Whitecaps, Luca De La Torre, Diego Luna of Real Salt Lake, Jack McGlynn of the Houston Dynamo, and Sean Zorwadzki, big names there. And at the forward, Damian Downs, Christian Pulisic of AC Milan, Josh Sargent of Norwich, Tim Weah, now of Olympique Marseille, and Alex Zendejas. He is coming over from Club America in Liga MX. So one name that we don't have on this September windows, so this September roster, and that is Giovanni Reyna. Now, you know, look, honestly, I would love to have Gio Reyna in these September matches. And I know that some of you want him there too. But the truth is, and what some of you need to understand, and you need to listen very carefully, and I've said this over and over and over again, we need Gio to play, not to sit on the bench and give him minutes out of the blue. He needs to play. Now, thankfully, the transfer happened. He has left Borussia Dortmund, and he has gone to Borussia Mönchengladbach in the German Bundesliga, still being in the German Bundesliga. And for him, I am hoping it is a fresh start. I am hoping he will get the necessary minutes so that he is considered a part of the national team. But once again, people need to understand this. It comes in two folds. First of all, playing time. And that means he has to come off the bench or he has to become a starter. And whatever he is doing, that's what has to happen. He needs to have a strong attitude. He has to find a way to make sure that he does not screw this up, because he needs to know, he needs to listen, open up the ears, open up the eyes, shut the mouth. He needs to listen to what the coaches tell him, and he needs to make sure that he does everything they tell him to do. Look, if it's due to injuries, that's something that I cannot prevent for him. That's something he can't prevent himself. They will happen. But he needs minutes, and he needs to not act like a selfish little jerk. Like I said, open these, close this, close the mouth. Don't speak, don't talk back. You listen to your manager, you listen to what he has to say, and then you go out and you do what you have to do with the game plan that he puts out for you, either as a starter or as a backup. And this is why we are, for those of us that wants him to be successful in Europe, that wants him to perform, he has to do better, and he has to have an adjustment in his head. I'm not saying no to Gio, but if he's not going to get any minutes, then he should not be called in. Period. He should not be called in at all. And the truth is this, and this is the other part that you need to understand this whole situation about Giovanni Reyna. His arrogance got the best of him. The interference of his father and his mother, both of his parents, of what they did to Berhalter after Qatar of 2022. And I've said to you many times, I'm not a defender of Greg Berhalter. I will not defend him for his tactics. I will not defend him for his formations. I will not defend him as the head coach of the U.S. men's national team and the poor job he did. The very poor job that he did. But what I cannot stand and what I cannot take is when Claudio and his wife interfered in Greg's business as head coach. And once again, this is a phrase that I continue to say when you see adults act like children. High school bitch. That's right. Wear the tag proudly, Claudio. Wear the tag proudly, Mrs. Reyna. You too are deserving of this. You too are deserving of this poor attitude that not only that you gave your son, but this poor attitude that you developed going against Greg, going to U.S. Soccer, to the principal's office, and you put Greg in a position where he should never have deserved to be in. Now, once again, this is not defending Berhalter as a head coach or his tactics or his ideas of football. This is defending Berhalter, who held the title as head coach of the U.S. men's national team. And at the same time, of course, we all know the situation where he tried to play off that stupid meeting, not even saying Gio's name, but we knew who he was talking about. We knew who Greg was talking about when he went to that leaders conference and spoke about being the head coach and what he had to do. I mean, we all thought it was all nipped under the bud and it was all talked about. Everything was fine. But unfortunately, no. Greg, in his own way, had to have the last word. That's where it is pathetic and stupid on his part. And he is no better than playing the same stupid high school tactics that Claudio and his wife did on him. So, once again, if we cannot have real adults in the room, then what the hell are we doing here? What in the hell are we doing here if we cannot have real adults in the room? Can't have that. I want to see our top players in Europe play regular minutes. I want them to have consistent minutes as a starter or as a sub. Either way, that's what I want. But for you to blindly just yell out Gio Reyna's name and ignore the consequences that right now Gio is having, well, guess what? Gio has nobody to blame but himself. Because when you blow up like that during a World Cup and people find out about it, you won't be trusted. And I understand you don't want to hear stuff like this. You don't want to hear the negative side of Reyna, Gio Reyna. But you need to hear it. You need to listen and understand why Gio is in deep trouble. Now, like I said, I hope he learned from it. And I hope Mönchengladbach will sit him down and tell him, we can't have this. You want to play for us? We brought you over here. We transferred you over here. We want you here. We paid this amount of money for you. And now you need to give us results. You got to listen. You got to pay attention. And you need to make sure that you know what's going on. And so, all I can say is this. If Gio can finally open his ears, open his eyes, and shut his mouth, I think he will be just fine. And that's all I want. That's all I ask. That's all I am looking for when it comes to this kid showing all of us why he is and should be a part of this national team. If you don't want to give him the demanding of him acting like an adult and growing up and behaving like an adult, well, you know what? If you're not going to do that to Gio, guess what? You don't deserve to be a fan of this national team. Period. So all I can say is this is what we have to look forward to, and this is what we need to do to make sure that Gio Reyna will be on this national team. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me just tell you about this segment's sponsor. It's Dino Luzzi Energy Drink. When I need that extra kick to power through match analysis and late-night transfer rumors, there's only one drink that delivers authentic Italian energy, and that is Dino Luzzi. Crafted in Italy with the same passion I bring to this show, because real energy comes from real ingredients. Just like real soccer talk comes from real insiders. Dino Luzzi Energy Drink. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to now talk to my first guest. He is the owner, editor, producer, and a hell of a guy. The one and only from Pittsburgh Soccer Now, John Krysinsky, joining us tonight. Welcome back. How are you, my friend?
Hey Daniel, how you doing?
Doing very well. Things are fine. Getting your camera set up here, I see. And
Yeah, we're good. We're good. I'm
yeah,
in my studio here. Yes, makeshift studio for the night. But yeah, it's good to be here. Been a the soccer season is really off and running and full. I was at Ambrose Urbanic Field last night watching Pitt. Now this morning I wake up and they're now ranked. They were seventh, ranked seventh. They're now third in the country. So this is a team that looks really good. This is a lot of really great stuff going on here. And of course, the Riverhounds had to throw a wrench in everything. We're getting ready for college season to kick off. Everything's going on. It's like, oh, we have this special announcement next. And sure enough, they made this announcement about the expansion of Highmark Stadium. So I'm trying to catch my breath, Daniel.
I have to tell you, I was on social media and seeing a member of the Hounds front office on Sportsnet Pittsburgh during the Pirates broadcast,
Right.
during the pregame show with Dan Potash. And when I heard about that expansion to Highmark Stadium, I was floored. I was thrilled. I could not believe my ears. And then, of course, the article that I saw it on, of course, USL's website, I was just amazed to see that they are going to move ahead and expand the seating capacity at Highmark. That has to be like, I don't know, parties all over Pittsburgh with all the soccer fans so excited to hear that there'll be more seats coming down the road in the future.
Well, this was no surprise on one side of it. We knew the expansion was happening. We knew that there was we knew there was an expansion that was going to take place. The scale of what this expansion would look like, I think, is what was in, I think made everybody speechless, like I am right here. I think that scale of what we saw in the drawings, I don't think people anticipated the look, the feel of what this projected expansion is going, what it's going to be. Now, whether that's going to happen in a short, in the anticipated timeline, 2028. Now that's a whole nother question. I think this is exciting to look at. I think I actually spoke with somebody who connected to in the front office, and they said that this wasn't even the, there's stuff in some of the initial workup and drawings that we haven't even seen yet that's supposed to be pretty impressive. That we're just scratching the surface in terms of what we've seen. So, but again, it's all grand, it's all great, but they're also talking about 125 to 130 million dollar project here, and that is not all going to come out of. In fact, it's not going to come out of Tuffy Schellenberger's, the owner of the Riverhounds, pocket. So this is still this is still going to be something we have to wait and see kind of how this develops and how this project will proceed. The club 3 years ago said that they were going to be doing phases of expansion starting last year. We haven't seen any of it. So we're just wait. I mean, it's a very exciting. It looks fantastic. It's where we want to be in terms of being a soccer city, the next steps, the progression, what needs to happen, and the progress of the past year in Pittsburgh in soccer, being that a women's team was added to the USW League. Yes, there wasn't one of the pro leagues, it wasn't the Super League, it wasn't the NWSL, but it was a women's team really for the first time got put into a higher stage. They were playing home games at Highmark Stadium. We have women's teams at that level. We've had Steel City, we've had a Beadling team, we've had these teams, but this year, having a women's team nearly sell out Highmark Stadium every game, I think it was a 6 game schedule, is what they do in W League. Something like that, plus a playoff game sold out as well. So that's impressive. And that's, obviously provides the, the incentive, the proof in the pudding that, look, there's a desire for more people to want to come out and catch high level soccer in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, that soccer can continue to grow, and there's not enough room at Highmark Stadium, and that's clear. So what's interesting is how, what's going to happen? How is this going to take place? Is it going to be incremental? Is it going to happen all at once? And maybe one year the Riverhounds Riveters or whoever are going to have to find another home? I mean, these are all questions that still somewhat unanswered. There have been, as you said, Jeff Garner was on Sportsnet Pittsburgh and he was talking about it. The Tuffy Schallenberger has made spoken a little bit more about it after, but there haven't been a lot of concrete things that we've seen in terms of the timeline and everything. We also understand that the Riverhounds want to be part of Division One. So this is all going to, I think, in the next 6 months to a year, we're going to start to see how they will proceed with this and what the plan's going to be and that sort of thing. So it's very exciting. It was an exciting day at Highmark Stadium. Our reporter Colton Qureshi was there, and he covered it for Pittsburgh Soccer Now. It was just a very exciting day. There's such a buzz about it, and the other piece of it is people are very excited about the potential for this venue at 20,000 or 15,000 seats or so, the potential that it has for other things, concerts, maybe some other events that they could host there. Now, on the soccer side of that, if it becomes this multi-use facility and there's people going back and forth in the Pittsburgh area, oh, this would be great for high school soccer championship, high school football champions. Football's king around here. These type of things. Then we're getting into a situation where is this truly going to be the soccer mecca that it should be? Are we going to have a grass field? Is it going to be what it should be? And I'm not sure that might be the case if they're going to need to generate revenue and bring concerts in and things like that. We're probably not going to see a grass field. I mean, that's just that bottom line there. So there probably going to be a lot of things that they're going to have to sort through and figure out what they want to be, what the identity of this expanded stadium is going to be. So hopefully I'm not dampering too much, raining on too much of a parade of people getting excited about all this. And I sense that from you too, Daniel. But I think there are still a lot of questions.
I can hear that the cat's got your tongue a little bit, but that's okay,
Yeah,
John. I don't blame you at all. I don't blame everyone in Pittsburgh. I'm just happy for everyone in Pittsburgh because this shows that the game is evolving still. It's growing. It's getting bigger and better, not just in MLS, but in the lower levels in USL. And I'm happy to see that. I'm going to show. I have some of the renderings from the Riverhounds just to show everyone. That's
yeah.
from the other side, from the. You can help me with my pronunciation. The Monongahela River.
Monongahela.
Monongahela. Thank you.
Monongahela. So
Monongahela.
my book, if is called Miracle on the Mon. So the Mon part is when it is Monongahela. So the Mon.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
And it's
I'll give,
just for geographical data here. The Mon flows south, and so it flows. Actually, no, I'm wrong. I think it flows north, right? Now I'm confusing myself. But the most important thing is that
you live there too.
the Mon either begins or ends at the Three Rivers, and it goes all the way to West Virginia. For
Yep.
those who
Exactly.
wanted to know that.
Exactly. And what really intrigues me is, especially with the first one here, the
Hmm.
press box is moved up into a higher level. It looks like to me the press
Right.
box, and they're going to have
Yes.
in between the upper level and the lower level. Excuse me. It looks like they're going to try and do a little bit of I guess luxury boxes. It looks like to me. I could be wrong, of course, but I mean, just to see this
Yeah.
just is enough to just give me goosebumps and to be happy for everyone in Pittsburgh, especially that wall now that is going to be blocking in between, even though there'll still be some sighting I see between the industrial train line and the field and the fans. I'm assuming they'll still have, I guess, a walking standing room only section. I believe I could be
Yeah.
wrong, but go ahead.
No, again, I haven't really studied this in great depth, but yeah, I mean, it looks great. Right now, one of the exciting things is from any vantage point in the current Highmark Stadium, which, only seats like 5,000 plus a lot of maybe another 1,000, 1,500 for standing room. You can see the downtown skyline across the river from just about any vantage point. So I'm thinking the way this is going to be set up, you still will have an amazing sight line, and a lot of people will be able to see that view, but there'll be some obstructed views too, I think. But it's like I have to see more renderings, more drawings, and some of the in-depth stuff that will take place. But it, you're right. I think the eye test for looking at this is impressive, and it looks great. It also, this is a space in Pittsburgh which was for a long time was the Station Square. It's still part of Station Square, but Tuffy Schallenberger, the owner of the Riverhounds, now owns the property where the stadium seats, along with the adjacent parking lot to the west parking lot, I believe. So the west lot. So he owns that. So I think he certainly has. He's going to obviously he's a major player here in all this. He's the owner of the team. But when Highmark Stadium was built, it was built with a price tag of about a little bit more than 10 million. They had cost overruns that went way, way over, and that's when Tuffy Schallenberger got involved because the club went bankrupt after 2 years. Close to actually after a year, Highmark had opened. So, again, they have to proceed. And I think the one thing is under Tuffy Schallenberger's direction, the club has found financial stability. So this project, they'll have to maintain, smart. They'll have to work with, the state. Apparently, Governor Shapiro has assured that there will be funds. But again, there's a lot of question marks about all that. I keep going
Mm-hmm.
back to that. We're
No,
looking
of
at the
course.
drawings. The drawings are great, and I think this is exciting.
Yes, it really is. Let me go to this one here. I like this lower view on the opposite side. I mean, now to me, this view of Highmark with the all the upgrades and the expansion,
Yeah.
it kind of feels like almost a soccer stadium version of PNC Park of where the Pirates play. If you notice the little thing in the middle, in between the stands, that walkway. To me, it feels like this is going to be the same people that created PNC Park. That's how I look at it. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it'll be the same design company with the architectural company that's involved, but you're looking at, so PNC Park overlooks the Allegheny, looks at the Allegheny River, so that's on the other side of the triangle on the north side. This is on the south side of Pittsburgh, so it'll be looking towards downtown as well, but from the south side. So it's interesting. It's open. Highmark Stadium's open to from the south side, PNC Park from the north side. PNC Park has you could look at the Roberto Clemente Bridge, which is Sixth Street Bridge, the old Sixth Street bridge, but Roberto Clemente Bridge, here you're looking straight across the Monongahela and at the skyline. It's a great view. It's a view that we see in the press box. You mentioned the press box. Any upgrades would be great. We've been there for, I guess this is our 12th season. I've been going to games, before Highmark Stadium was built, but throughout this entire run, it's a very small little press box. It's fine. It's a great view, but it's a little antiquated in terms of the view, full view. We don't have a great view from the press box. There's not like a full open glass, and so there's some things that we always joke about. Sometimes you don't always see everything, or it's not that spacious. We have limited space in the press box, things like that. So anything will be great to see an upgrade, but this is spectacular. This looks just absolutely spectacular.
It really is, John. And, like I said, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for everyone in Pittsburgh. To see that expansion happening for the club is just wonderful to talk about. And who knows, maybe it's not just the Riveters. Maybe Steel City makes a move down there now at USL League Two. Yeah, maybe we'll see Pitt to play their games there from now on. I mean, I'm just thrilled for everyone in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think the Riverhounds organization, the Riveters are going to be the tenants, the primary tenants. Right now, there's a few universities that play at the current Highmark Stadium, Point Park University, my alma mater. Carlo, I think, is still playing games there. I don't want to speak for that. A few high schools actually play their games there, and then the high school exciting thing is that the district high school finals are played at Highmark. We've had two NCAA tournaments, Division Two and Division Three. I think it was 2018 and 19, somewhere in there. The stadium is hosted. So the goal would be, look at Lynn Family Stadium in Louisville, something along the same lines as they've just hosted the NCAA tournament, the College Cup. That would be something that this facility would certainly aspire for. But Riverhounds current president Jeff Garner hasn't ruled out a lot of non-soccer things, so in concerts, and I think they definitely want to look at the revenue generating piece of it. So, like I said, will that sacrifice some of the true soccer piece of it? We'll see. I think we'll see. But in order to have it, maybe they have to sacrifice a little, the true soccer thing, having like a grass field or just be used as a soccer only facility. We'll see. I mean, I think it's, again, anything that brings more exposure to the city, more exposure to the teams that are going to be the tenants, the hosts of that facility, I think will all be good. So we'll say. Also, just real briefly, I mentioned the Governor Shapiro. I think he has already said that they would earmark at least $3 million from the Redevelopment Assistance Capital Program funding. So that's a starting point, but there's a long way to go because it'll be, like I said, 125 to 130 million, and that's just right now what we're looking at. So we saw Highmark have major cost overruns before. So a lot of questions. I'm sorry, I just keep bringing all this stuff up. I haven't really talked too much about this because there's been a lot going on the field and on the pitch in the past week or so that have got me back a little bit distracted from this exciting news.
No, it's absolutely exciting. Once again, I'm happy for you and happy for everyone in Pittsburgh. I'm happy for the game in the Steel City, and hopefully it will be spectacular once it's all erected and done. So I'm happy for you. John, as always, I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining me tonight. Congratulations once again. It's such a wonderful moment to be a soccer fan in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You have a good night, my friend. Thank you.
All right, take care. Thanks.
Thank you. Once again, John Krysinsky, Pittsburgh Soccer Now, joining us tonight. And now coming in from the Midwest, of course, he's a good friend of mine, as always, all the way back to the days of CSRN. He is now with Kansas City Soccer Journal on Sporting Kansas City, my good friend Mike Kuhn, joining me tonight. Kuhny, welcome to the new edition of Feuerstein's Fire. How you like it being no longer on the phone?
It's a little easier. It's a little easier to get connected, a little easier to get things going. I apologize, I'm not on camera. My laptop that has my camera kind of decided to shoot craps, so I'm on my PC that does not have a camera at the moment.
That's okay. As long as it doesn't shoot snake eyes, you're fine. Anyway, just to talk about Sporting Kansas City this season, obviously it's not a good year, but when the day that Peter Vermees was let go, I mean, what was the feeling going around Kansas City? Was it now it's time for a new era, or there was some lament? Was there any letdown from the supporters? I mean, what did you feel? How did you feel about the situation? And I know, look, I've always given Peter a lot of credit and a lot of respect for whenever they've done well, he's done a great job. And then when it looked like, he wasn't going to survive the season, he finds a way to survive the season and save the club. Yet it just came too quickly this past season, or this current season, I should say.
I mean, for the most part, the dismissal of Vermees was such that I think most people thought it was about time. It had needed to happen. Even a lot of us who gave him a long leash, even now looking back on it, it's like, yeah, the escape in 2023 that got us to the playoffs and then knocking off St. Louis was probably the worst thing that could have happened long term for the club, because if they don't do that, he's probably gone sooner. But the fact he made the playoffs in 2023 it allowed him to continue on, and it metaphorically kicked the can down the road for the work that Kansas City is now going through, which is replacing all the stuff Peter Vermes did for the club, everything he had his hands in. Basically, it was like he did the work for like a number of group of people by himself, basically. And now the team's going to have to rebuild and hire different people for those different positions.
I have to admit that last year when Sporting Kansas City went to the Open Cup final, and I really thought that also might have saved his job. I really thought reaching the final last year in the Open Cup against LAFC, just getting there, even though they didn't win it, many thought they probably should have won it. But to be honest with you, I thought just reaching the final saved him, and it just didn't at the long run.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been of the opinion that the Open Cup on its own is never going to, it's never going to get somebody fired in MLS. It's never going to save somebody's job in MLS. Even winning the competition, I don't. Well, let me tell. I think maybe winning it saves his job. I think just making the final probably wasn't. I mean, we see where we're at now. We see that making the final didn't save his job. I don't want to say winning it would have saved his job, but it wouldn't have surprised me if he was still in charge if they'd won it.
No, absolutely. I mean, look, eventually it had to happen, and it did. And I believe it was Kerry Zavagnin who took over as interim at the moment. How has he been doing? I know standings wise, Kansas City's not going to make the playoffs. I think you're in 13th at the moment in the Western Conference. But do you think he's somewhat righting the ship a little bit? Do you think they're playing a little bit better? Or do you feel it's just been the continuation of the negativity that Vermes left the club in?
I mean, I think that Kerry has done a good job of kind of steadying the ship. I don't think he's righted it. I don't think he's saved it. I mean, after Vermes got fired, Sporting had kind of didn't go on a run, but they were consistently probably would have been like mid-pack in the league if those results had kind of weighed out over the course of the season. Now what's happening is while they're playing better soccer now, they're playing better competition. We're getting the San Diegos, the Seattles, all coming and playing us now, and we're not, and the results aren't falling our way now. And what's happening is we're sliding back to where the underlying numbers say we should be, instead of being 3-4 points out of the playoffs. We're sliding down the table, and the likes of the Galaxy are creeping up on us, basically. So I think Kerry's done a good job of working to get the best players on the field, working to find a formation that works for the team. I mean, we've recently switched from the 4-4-3 that we, or 4-4-3 that we've basically used exclusively almost since Vermes got the job. We've switched to more of a 4-4-2, basically an empty bucket, with Basong and Davis in the midfield now. So I mean, they've tried. He's tried to change things around. The talent overall just isn't there to allow the team to be successful at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's the truth of the matter. So we'll see what happens. A lot of the players that made Sporting Kansas City what it is and what they were is obviously not there anymore. Johnny Russell's gone. Alan Polito went back down to Mexico. Some of these players just not doing what they would normally do. I mean, Kyrie Shelton, I know he's on the club, hasn't been performing well, or it's just been, everyone's been snake bit this season.
Yeah, I mean, the with Russell, it was time to move on there. I appreciate everything he's done for the club. He being the captain, being the leader, everything he's done, but like with him and Melia, it was just time to move on in that regard. There comes a point where you need to move on, and that was something that later on in his tenure that Vermes struggled with. I mean, we held on to Espinoza for maybe a year too long, Zuzi for a year too long, Fontas for a year too long. Everybody, Vermes struggled to let go of those guys who were his guys that he could rely on. And to be honest, they could give him a game every now and then. Problem is, it's a 34 game season. You can't have Johnny Russell giving you a game every now and then. You need more consistency with that. As for Polito, that was the best. Like, Chivas gave Sporting a get out of jail free card there after the extension that he got. Chivas coming in and paying to take him off our hands was the best thing that could have happened for Vermes to even try to save his job. It allowed Sporting to bring in Dayon this season. So,
yeah, no, I agree with you there. And I think it's pretty good to see him going. I think he originally came over from Chivas, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah. Polito, yeah.
Yeah. So, look, I mean, he tried. I mean, he had some good moments. Unfortunately, just didn't work out. And look, at least Chivas came calling and wanted their old player back. So you can't really argue about that. And now he'll be on the Necaxa documentary every time Chivas plays Necaxa on FX. So well, that's the only time you ever see him again, Cuny, is when you see him on the Eva Longoria docu-series now down in Mexico. That's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah. What's the overall end game for this 2025 season for Sporting Kansas City? Is it just going to be just survive and then retool, replan for 2026? Is that the goal for Sporting Kansas City for next season?
I think at this point it kind of needs to be. I mean, as you said earlier, we're not making the playoffs. At this point, it's survive. It's figure out maybe where Davis's best position is on the field, what Bartlett's role is going to be, what Miller's role is going to be, whether Polskamp is the long-term number one for the club. Maybe get Ian James some more time with the first team. But I mean, the big thing for the club is going to be off the field, because we're now almost 5 months post Vermes, and at this point, there are definitely more questions from fans than those that are in the wait and see model for. Okay, we probably need to see a new CSO in here so that they can start evaluating the talent, see who they need to replace, see if they're okay with Carey being in charge from the behind the scenes aspect. And if not, they got to get rolling on getting a new coach interviewed, getting a new coach for the twos hired, because our two coach left a couple weeks ago, basically, and get assistants hired, figure out if they're going to keep Burns on as a technical director. It goes back to my comment earlier about Vermes having so many hats. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, and we're getting close to the end of the season, need to start preparing for the off season, and you can't do that if you don't have a CSO in charge.
No, absolutely. Do you feel Kerry Zavagnin, obviously he's just a caretaker head coach, do you think he's done enough to keep the job and finally implement what he wants to do? Or do you feel that it's an open competition to go through a hiring process, an interview process to bring in somebody else, whether they're in MLS or abroad? What do you think is going to happen with the coaching situation?
I mean, part of it again goes back to the CSO decision and how they want to play. But for me, it's hard because I've seen Kerry around this club since he came to the club in 2000, basically. So it's nice to see him finally get the chance. And I don't want to place everything that the club's done in terms of the results since Vermes left on Zavagnin, but I mean, there are moments where this season it felt like he didn't get the starting lineup right. He didn't get the way the team should have done. And then he made some great changes at halftime, and Sporting was able to fight back and get back into games. Now it's kind of gone the opposite way, where he seems to get the formation right at the start, the players right at the start, and the team just can't put it together for 90 minutes of the game. So I like Carey. I want him to succeed. I've wanted him to be one of those guys that would have gone on and gotten a job somewhere else. But I think with a new CSO, I would like to see more of a clean break and have an open competition for open interview for that spot. I don't want it to just be handed to Carey in this situation, simply because while he's different and certainly appears to be more flexible with how he plays or how he has the team play, he still has spent basically 15 years with Peter Vermes, because they both came in 2000. So it just getting a clean break wouldn't necessarily be the worst thing for the club.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Kenny. We'll see what happens at the end of the season, but obviously, these are now difficult times in Kansas City. Obviously, you had a hell of a run with Vermes as head coach. What is it? I think it was like 1 or 2 MLS Cup championships and about 3, 4 Open Cup titles. I think it's something like that.
One MLS Cup and 3 Open Cups.
Yep, 1 MLS Cup and 3 Open Cups. I mean, there's nothing. It's nothing to sneeze at, to be honest with you. I just, the way it came crashing down. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I felt they probably should have just let him go at the end of the season last year, and just moved on and get somebody else. But what was it? A month into the season, and they already decided to let him go.
Yeah, it was a little over a month. And I mean, at the end of last season, the big talk was, well, they've got the 3 transfer windows to turn it around. And so Vermes is going to get the time to do that. And in one aspect, then if you do that and then firing him immediately, like a month into the season, it certainly brings up some questions. But I mean, as you said the end of last season, I said if they the run against St. Louis is what saved his job then. I mean, it's just clear that his time with the club had needed to end, basically. They needed to move in a different direction, get new voices, get new leadership, basically.
Absolutely. Well, all I can say, CUNY, is this. There's not much left in the season to go. The nightmare will be over very soon, and then hopefully those changes will come starting in the next off season, and then getting ready for a big moment for a big season in 2026. And let's not forget the World Cup is also coming into our backyards and coming to Kansas City again at Arrowhead. So that's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to go there as part of media for Kansas City Soccer Journal, or are you going to go in as a fan?
Nah, I'm gonna go as a fan. I went to a game in '94. I'm gonna be taking my kids to at least one game here next year as just a fan. I'm just gonna enjoy the atmosphere.
Exactly. Same here. CUNY, as always, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. And hopefully your camera will not crap out, and I can see your lovely face for once. I'm not saying the picture's bad. I just want to see you face to face.
Always a pleasure, Daniel. I always appreciate coming on. Have
Absolutely. And I appreciate you coming on as well. Mike Kuhn from, Kansas City Soccer Journal, as we talk about Sporting Kansas City and what they've been going through. And now, time to talk about the New York Red Bulls and their latest match against Charlotte FC on the road at Bank of America Stadium. Before I even get to that, when the transfer window opened this summer, I was telling all of you to take it easy, to calm down, and allow both Julian de Guzman, the sporting director, and, director of sport, Jochen Schneider, let them work their magic. Let them try and bring in some players, and then we'll wait and see what's going to happen. So far, they've only brought in Gustav Bregren, who has still not showed up, and they're claiming he's already there, and the continued conversation about Timo Werner coming to the New York Red Bulls from Red Bull Leipzig. And while it sounded great that he was coming, and then he did not come, and that was a big disappointment. And while they did sign some players that were on loan deals originally, now full-time players like Rafael Mosquera, like Marcelo Morales, like Andy Rojas, basically, it is a failure of a transfer window from the Red Bulls yet again. And this will not do. This will not do. You have read reports here at Bad Dog Sports about Timo Werner no longer coming here due to the fact of the agents being interfering, and then all of a sudden not coming. But for some silly reason, everyone else all of a sudden just kept on going with, they're still talking. Werner and the Red Bulls are still talking. And when we get to the end of this past window, last Thursday on August the 21st, he never came. When you had JJ Pavlik of Bad Dog Sports reporting that it ended. So this ultimate failure of a transfer window has now shown consequences. From reading reports or Twitter posts of several people, at least I would say 10 of them, have already declined renewing their season tickets. All because of the situation of not bringing in additional help for both Eric Maxime Choupo-Moting and Emil Forsberg. And the continued calamity of transfer rumors that should have ended as soon as Mr. Pavlik wrote his article. But once again, it's clickbait. That's what these reporters will do, whether they are New York Red Bulls beat reporters or MLS beat reporters or American soccer beat reporters. This is a failure. And now anyone that supports the club, you have the right to sound off. You have the right to be angry, to be upset, because somehow everyone else is making deals, and all of a sudden, the players that they bring over are already playing for them, like Son, who came from Tottenham to LAFC. You are seeing all these players coming over from Europe, and they are joining their new clubs in MLS. Some of these players are not great, but they did something. These clubs did something. They improved themselves for the stretch run, for their opportunity to be in the playoffs. And of course, Felipe Carballo, of course, could not get a deal done here. The agent kept messing around, and the loan deal was expired, and he went back to Gremio. But then he comes back to MLS to be on another loan deal, this time with the Portland Timbers in the Western Conference. And we all know what Carballo did for the Red Bulls in the first two of the three playoff matches against the Columbus Crew in Columbus and what he did to NYCFC in the playoffs at Citi Field with the Citi Field special. I am trying to be even-keeled here, even though I should probably just go ahead and give my thoughts on this situation. It is just a shame and an embarrassment that both Jochen Schneider and Julian de Guzman did not do better during this summer transfer window, as they like to call it, the secondary transfer window. If it's that difficult to find players that can adapt to this system that the New York Red Bulls play, or that all the Red Bull clubs play, whether it be Leipzig, Bragantino, Salzburg, well, then maybe we should just change it up. Maybe we should change the tactics. And maybe we should just abandon the press and be a little bit more conventional. To be honest with you, I don't know. But I will say this. This is an embarrassment, and especially an embarrassment for a New York City type of club, regardless of the sport. Regardless of it being the Yankees, the Mets, the Giants, the Jets, the Rangers, the Knicks, even the Islanders, even the Devils. New York City FC found maybe 1, 2, 3 more players, and you can only get one, and he hasn't even played yet. And we don't know if he'll ever get a chance to play this year. Something is wrong. Something has to change. If it has to be somebody in the scouting department, so be it. If it's somebody in the front office, so be it. Because the truth is this. I know Marc de Grand Prix is the general manager, but the truth is he has nothing to do with the roster anymore. He's just a general manager working on to improve the stadium. Maybe has some input, I don't know. But the reality is it's two people. The sporting director and Julian de Guzman, and the director of sport, Jochen Schneider. Those are the two people that handle what goes on with the roster. Sandro can only manage what he has. He's the chef. He needs to work with the ingredients that is given to him by the owner of the restaurant. And if the owner of the restaurant is not doing the job, then he should sell his business to someone that can, so he can help his chef do better. It is very, very disheartening to see this Red Bull team that had a hell of a run last year. They've had a hell of a run. To bring over Eric Maxime Choupo-Moting to help with the attack, that was great. 15 goals this season. No one expected him to score that many, because the 36-year-old, why'd you bring him over? And now you see why. Yes, we know Lewis Morgan was hurt most of the majority of the season. Yes, it's a shame Cam Harper got injured in Austin and he's done for the entire season. Mohamed Sofo has cooled off. The back line has done a great job. Coronel has done a great job. Sadly, our AJ Marcucci ruptured ACL towards the end of that quarterfinal match in Philadelphia against the Union over in Chester at Subaru Park. They bring over John McCarthy to be the backup for Coronel. It's a situation where, look, you had to fill in somehow for Marcucci because he'll be gone for a good while, even into next season. But the truth is this. It's not enough. It's not enough. Regardless of who you're bringing over from Red Bull 2, if it's not enough what they are doing this season to defend their Eastern Conference title in the playoffs. They may be in a playoff spot now, but they got to continue to win. Losing in Charlotte, even though they only lost one by a goal to nil, and we'll get to the game in a minute, and they only lead by a +2 on the differential as they have a +4, and Chicago has +2. If not for Chicago getting blitzed by the Union 4 goals to nil at Subaru Park, the Red Bulls only losing by a goal to nil allows them to stay in 9th place. And even if they do stay in 9th place and they make the wild card, what's that going to do for them? Because they're going to be on the road. And if they go on the road, they're not going to do well. One win on the road is not enough for how this season has gone. So, if Schneider and de Guzman are going to survive this, many fans will be upset. They're upset now. They're already showing by giving up their season tickets for next season that they no longer want to be a season ticket holder because they feel their club has failed them. I know you're building a brand new training facility. I know there are bigger things coming, but the fans don't want the future. They want it now. You were this close, equalizing in the final and forcing extra time. Yes, it was going to be a different season. Yes, there was a hopes of a title run, hoping for an Open Cup title run. It just fizzled out. Now, this streak of consecutive seasons of qualifying for the playoffs, a North American sports record, could be shattered. All because of foolishness and silliness and stupidity. People were hoping for Plan A, and Plan A fell apart. So where was Plan B? Where was Plan C? Where was Plan D? Nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. And that is the reason why the fans are frustrated. That is why the fans are upset. That is why this whole situation is falling apart in front of everyone's face. You didn't do enough in the transfer window. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And forget about next winter's window. Forget that right now. They better make the playoffs and survive and go on a run. If they do make the playoffs and then they get eliminated right away, I mean, I'll tell you right now, if Global sees it as a failure, somebody's head's going to roll. I don't know if it'll be Sandro's. It could be. I don't want to say that right now. This is only the second season, but you know how this game works. You know how football works. Here today, you're a hero last season. You screw up next season, you're gone tomorrow. I mean, if Jochen is still here, he should basically go to church, kiss the priest, and say, thank you for listening to my prayers. Because right now, it's not good enough. I don't know what anyone else will tell you, but right now it's not good enough. And hopefully things will get fixed. But if not, and we're still stuck at the same old, then you know what? There's no hope for this club on making the attempt to winning a championship of any kind. Forget even Leagues Cup, Open Cup, MLS Cup, Supporters Shield. Hell, try and qualify for the Champions Cup and not even do that. You know what? What are you going to do? They better fix it. If that means whatever happens at the end of the season, we'll see what happens. If they make another run again and they somehow miraculously do it, then I mean, then somebody made a deal with a voodoo shaman, with a witch doctor. Well, we'll have to wait and see. Yep. 6 games remaining in this regular season. And at the moment, tied on points with the Chicago Fire. They have a match in hand. And right now, the goal differential is keeping the Red Bulls above the playoff line by a difference of +2. We'll have to wait and see what's going to happen there. Now we can go to the match. And unfortunately, another road loss, this time at Charlotte FC on Sunday Night Soccer. A 1-0 victory for Charlotte FC as Kerwin Vargas scores in the 30th minute. One bad pass by Mohamed Sofo from the near side touchline into the middle of the pitch. So much space for that ball to be picked up by Charlotte FC, put Noah Ayla in a very bad position, and forced Tim Parker to make a run back. And yes, he tried to defend. He tried his best. Not his fault, not Ayla's fault. They were put in that position by Mohamed Sofo, going against the run of play, and Toklameti passing it to Kerwin Vargas, and he buried it top shelf. That's not even Carlos Coronel's fault. They tried to survive that mistake by Sofo. I understand he's a young player, but even he has to understand you cannot put that ball in that position. You want to pass it back? Fine. Pass it back to Dylan Nealis. He's right there. He's at least behind you. Pass it back to Dylan Nealis in a safe manner. Then he could probably pass it forward towards Noah Ayla so that he can move up the ball, and then he can go forward and connect to the midfield to either Edelman or Stroud. And then you can do something with the ball. Outside of that moment and outside of the poor shooting, the Red Bulls actually did very well. To be fair and to be honest, it's a draw. It is a draw, this match. Kalina did great for Charlotte. Once again, I'm not putting that goal on Carlos Coronel because he did brilliantly too. Made some strong key saves late in the second half to keep the Red Bulls in the match. But yes, that could have been a draw. That could have been a point. That could have been a 1-point lead for the Red Bulls. And then you go home this upcoming weekend to Columbus. And then hopefully they get a win at home. And then it becomes a 4-point lead. Now you got to hope for a win. And then you also have to hope for Chicago making a mess of things during the international window because they have a game to make up. They have a match in hand right now. It's in their back pocket. It's coming up on Wednesday. So once again, this is very, very problematic for the New York Red Bulls. This is a situation, once again, if they don't win and get a good amount of goals against Columbus, we've got problems again. They have to score. They have to score. They have to maintain a lead. If they get a clean sheet, that's even better. But they really have to go out there. And they really have to do things, and they got to do it in a big way. Because this Red Bulls team right now, they're not looking good on the road. They're not looking good away. And then what's going to happen? When they come home, they play Columbus. Then they go to the international break. And then after the international break, on the road in Portland, on the road in Montreal. Then they got to come home against Cincinnati, New York City FC. Then let's not also forget there's another October window, international break. And then they got to go on the road to Columbus for decision day. And once again, these road games, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what the situation will be. Can they get a win? Can they get a point? It's a big question mark, folks. A very, very big question mark. And I really do hope they get an answer. Because if they don't get an answer, they are in deep trouble and they're out and they're done. They're holding on by a thread right now. I don't know what anyone else will tell you who covers the Red Bulls and does a podcast. But I'll tell you this right now on this show. This could be the season that record is over. It could. And we have to wait and see what they will do with these 6 games left in the regular season. It's not looking good. And as Bon Jovi says, that's right there, living on a prayer. That's all we can do. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do for tonight's show. I want to thank my guests tonight, John Krysinsky from Pittsburgh Soccer Now, and my good friend Mike Kuhn from Kansas City Soccer Journal. My name is Daniel Feuerstein. Thank you very much for watching me tonight. You could also rewatch this show on YouTube and anywhere else that you can watch this program on. Thank you for joining me tonight. And as always, please, 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 please enjoy your football. Thank you. Have a good night. Take care. So long. And bye-bye for now. Have a good night, everybody.